Well, welcome back to another episode with me and my special guest, Michael Baez. I am so glad to share with you a really great friend of mine that I met a few years ago at a yoga convention. At the time, I was looking for an instructor, a program to learn about yoga and how to become an instructor really for myself so I can take my practice around the world. And I met Michael, and Michael and I have created a wonderful relationship. And he is originally from the Bronx, and he was so kind enough to show me where he lives and a bunch of those yoga studios that he loves to go to back 2 years ago when I started with him. And so today we have a great lineup of things that we're going to share with you. We're going to talk about the 8 limbs of yoga. We're going to talk about his wonderful event coming up in Costa Rica. And we're here to just basically tell you about Awakened Warrior Yoga and what they do. The thing that I have to tell you that I love the most about Awakened Warrior Yoga is that not only do I learn how to guide myself and others through a practice of asanas, but I also learn the meat and potatoes of what it really means to be a yogi, how to really take care of my inner self, and how to go within. So without further ado, let me please present to you Michael Baez.
Yay. Thank you for having me. Namaste, everybody.
So Michael, thank you so much for being here with us. I would like for you to just tell my community, or tell our community, a little bit about yourself and where you came from, your backstory, and how Awakened Warrior really just got started.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I grew up in New York, in the Bronx, and in Queens. I was back and forth for quite some time. And my background before yoga was martial arts. I studied and taught martial arts for over 10 years, and competed in tournaments and was teaching at different schools with my instructor. And then I moved to California and was pursuing a filmmaking career, which I'm still involved in. I direct and produce short films and TV commercials. And I wanted something physical to do because I wasn't doing martial arts as much anymore. So I started to, keep my eyes and ears open. And a friend of mine randomly invited me to a yoga class. It was in somebody's house. It was in a living room. It wasn't even in a yoga studio. And I took the class and fell in love with it. Within 10 minutes, I was hooked and decided I wanted to just continue doing yoga. And I didn't find a studio that I loved. And I was still living in California. And I went back to New York for some work and came across a studio that I fell in love with, decided to become an instructor there, and then actually licensed the name of that studio, which was at the time was called Bamboo Moves. So we opened up the first Bamboo Move studio in the Bronx. And then from there, out of the studio, created the Awakened Warrior teacher training. And then that's what I decided to put all my time and energy into was doing teacher training. So now we've done, I think we're approaching 70 trainings in the last 8 years. And we've certified close to, I would say, 250 or maybe a little bit over 250 people from around the world. Recently got calls from someone from the UK, someone from the Philippines, someone from, what was the other one? All over. We get calls from all over the place. And people, it's cool. They get to fly into LA, do their training, and then go back to wherever they came from and start teaching over there. So that's been my journey, and it's been great. We offer 200 and 300-hour trainings. That's how we met you at the Yoga Expo in Florida many years ago. And it's been great just, watching you grow and seeing all the cool things that you're doing.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much. I definitely have been doing a lot of different things, but what I really would love to share, and I want people to know here, is that
Sure.
The cool thing about Awakened Warrior is that you don't have to be in California or New York.
Right.
You can be anywhere in the world, and that is something very unique to what Michael Baez does. So when he was mentioning some people from the Philippines, he has an online course that teaches you how to become a yoga instructor, how to develop your practice, how to teach while you are in another part of the country or another part of the world. So I love that you created that, and that is just absolutely flourishing for the school. So let's just hop right into what the 8 limbs of yoga is, because, when I first started my practice, I really didn't know what I was getting into and what I was going to learn. And I realized that when you taught me about the 8 limbs of yoga, I was like, wow, this is very fascinating. So take it away. Tell us about the 8 limbs of yoga.
Cool. So as I was preparing for this call this morning, I wanted to have some notes. So I'm going to read to you right from my laptop. Actually, this is coming from my teacher. I just Googled 8 limbs and see what popped up because I have my notes already. But I'm just curious to see what comes up. And sure enough, Dharma, my teacher's Dharma Mitra, his quote came up. So I'll share with you that. So it says, compiled by the sage Patanjali around 2 to 4,000 years ago. The 8 limbs of yoga give you time-tested tools for achieving the ultimate goal of yoga, which is union with the divine. Along with the way, they can help you achieve radiant health, increased mental powers, and purity of mind and body. So it's a philosophy that was created by Patanjali, is credited with writing the Yoga Sutras, and then within the Yoga Sutras comes the 8 limbs. And the 8 limbs is a philosophy that if you live by, it's believed that you can achieve the ultimate goal of yoga, which is union with the divine, enlightenment, or as we call it, awakening. That's why we named it Awakened Warrior. So you can achieve that highest level, connecting to your higher self. So that's the setup for it. But then there's specifically two that I want to talk about today. So one is the union with the divine can never be achieved without practice of the first 2 limbs, which are the yamas and the niyamas. And the 5 yamas literally mean restraints or ethical rules, like the 10 Commandments. The 5 niyamas, literally things not to be restrained, are qualities to observe and cultivate. So these are things, as we said, like referencing the 10 Commandments. If you live by these, then you can achieve a much happier lifestyle, and not only with how you deal with yourself, but how you deal with other people and other people, in the world, so to speak. So the 5 yamas are ahimsa, which is a very important one. And I tell people this is probably the number one reason why most yogis are vegetarians or vegans, because we believe that you have to practice compassion for all living creatures. So not only your pets, your dogs, and your cats. Most people are very loving to their animals, but also understanding that our diet choices and how we live our life, and whether we just randomly squash bugs for no reason just because they're there. So we have to have an appreciation for all life, and that's the first one of the yamas is ahimsa, compassion for other creatures and even for ourselves. A lot of times people are very caring and giving of others, but they don't give to themselves, that self-love or self-care. So that's one thing that we teach, in the training, is that you have to make sure you take care of yourself. So we encourage people to get massages, take bubble baths, make sure they're hydrating, drinking a lot of water, smoothies, juices, eating healthy foods during the course of the training. So those are the main things with regards to the ahimsa. Next is satya, and satya is truthfulness, speaking the truth and being honest, of course, as we know, but speaking in a way that doesn't violate ahimsa. So some people think, well, I'll just speak the truth and say whatever I want, and then unfortunately they hurt other people's feelings. So we want to be mindful that we want to still speak the truth in a way that keeps people happy, and keeps people content, and really appreciative of what we're trying to share with them. So truthfulness is the second one. That's satya. Next one is asteya. Asteya is non-stealing. So non-stealing, not just in physical possessions, but even people's time and energy. And this is a big one, because a lot of people, everyone understands, yeah, you shouldn't steal people's things, but you want to make sure that you are respectful of people's time and their energy as well. So we have a phrase, we in this culture now, we say energy vampires, or people drain you. So we want to be mindful not to allow that to happen to you. You want to be protective of yourself, but also not be that for other people. Don't drain people and take their energy. That's stay on non-stealing. And the final, or the last two, brahmacharya. This says sexual moderation, but it's controlling your senses also. It's both not using the sexual energy for love and for connection and for procreation, not using it for manipulation or any type of negative way. As we see people who've had sexual trauma or have had gone through some really serious abuse, it'll affect them for their lifetime. So we want to make sure that the sexual energy is a very powerful energy. It's how we were all created, right? Through our parents having the sacred act. So we want to make sure that we respect it, and our in alignment, that makes sure that the sexual energy is something that's really appreciated and something that's really shared in a beautiful way. The final one is where is it? Aparigraha. Aparigraha is non-hoarding of wealth or any material possessions. As we see people who hoard, right? We see their homes, we see their cars. Living in LA, it's quite often I'll see a few cars where it's just stacked to the rim with trash. It's just like just from front to back, it's just stuff, and whether it be sentimental items or things, but that idea of not being able to let go. There's a great phrase that says, if you keep carrying it on, you have to let it go. And that phrase is, the past doesn't equal the future. That came from Tony Robbins. So you have to be mindful of not to carry the past with you, whether it be metaphorically or literally in terms of material possessions. Okay, so those are the yamas, and those are really, really important as we see how we can live our life, and that will make a difference in how we interact with people.
I like it's like the Ten Commandments, basically.
Yes,
Like
yes,
you just said,
basically.
it's the Ten Commandments, and
Yes,
you know, it's when we keep those in front of us and we're reminding ourselves of how to act and how to be, then you know, our environment changes, our
absolutely.
perspective of life just changes, and we look at things differently. So. I mean, there's 8 of those types. That's just one aspect, and
That's
then
just one.
there's many more. And
Yes.
so is that, and that is something that when you become a yoga instructor, not only do you learn the asanas with you, but you also learn what it means to really be a true yogi.
Correct, correct. We go over the philosophy, which is equally as important. You know, many people, when they first come to yoga, think it is the physical practice. So, you know, most people go to a yoga school because they want to get more flexible, or you know, their doctor suggested it's good for their back or for their neck or whatever, and they come and they fall in love with it. And I tell people, I think that the physical aspect is what gets people in the door, but it's all these other things, these unseen things that are happening within the yoga class, within the yoga community, that keeps people coming back and falling in love with it. So this is one part of it, is just the philosophy of it. You know, really understanding can you be a better person? How can you really, you know, be a compassionate human being, being a loving person? I think that in these times, especially with everything that's happening in the world, we see such violence and anger and hatred and all the division within the country. That, you know, yoga, ultimately the word means union. You know, so we can really share the yoga teachings and bring more people into the yoga studio. Or my goal is just continue to create yoga teachers and have them really share the light and share their you know, what they're learning in the trainings with the world. And little by little, we can start to create that. And we see that a lot. A lot of times people will come to training and at graduation share like, wow, you know, just recently just happened in a graduation on Sunday. One of the best friends of a graduate came and said, you know, she's changed. She's a completely different person now as a result of the training. And I hear that quite often. People become, you know, their true self. They're not stressed. They're not angry. They're not depressed. You know, they really go through the training and find, you know, again, their true self, which is the ultimate goal of yoga.
I'm so glad that you volunteered that information, because that was
Yeah.
going to be my next question. Like, what happens
Yes.
to someone when they go through the training? And so,
Yes.
you know, for me, I think that everybody should have this practice, because, you know,
Yes.
going to a class is one thing, but taking yourself through the practice is another.
Yes.
Um, so you have an event coming up very soon,
Yes.
and you've already been to Costa Rica, and it was an
Yes.
absolute success when you went. Did you go
Oh,
to a yoga retreat back then?
yeah, it was kind of like a little mini retreat because I was trying to testing it out. I went out there just to kind of explore. As I've been hearing for years. Everyone's always been talking about Costa Rica and how amazing it is, and I was like, okay, let me check it out. So I went, and then also went to a yoga festival called Envision. So I was there for a good, I don't know, 5 days or so, just exploring Costa Rica, taking yoga classes. Did jet skiing, zip lining, stand up paddleboard. Went on a sloth walk, and we just were spotting sloths in the trees and monkeys. I mean, you
They're
get
like
so close to nature.
they were like
Yeah,
really slow.
they're so cool. They're the coolest little creatures.
Oh
We
my
learned a lot
god.
about them on this walk. We had a guide, and he was telling us all about this. You know, and you know, they're cute and cuddly, but they're dangerous. Those claws will rip into you, and they lock, and that's how they're able to just sleep in trees. They lock in. So if you ever get scratched by one or bitten, you know, it could be quite dangerous. So, you know, they advise us, don't pet the sloth. Just leave them alone. But yeah,
Can you
but it's
just
gonna be a great. Mhm.
can you just move your camera up a little bit?
Oh,
I have your face kind of cut
oh,
off just a
sure,
little
sure.
bit.
Yeah,
There we go. Perfect.
yeah,
All right. So tell us a little bit. Oh, actually, tell us as much as you can about this yoga retreat, because I
yeah.
want everyone to know about it. I think from Florida, because that's where I'm at,
Yes.
it's very inexpensive to get to Costa Rica.
Oh,
And
nice.
I've shared some pictures of the location that you
Yes.
are going to be using. And
Yes.
I mean, what can someone expect out of the yoga retreat that you're hosting?
It's amazing because what we're gonna do is we're gonna balance it out. What I found is that some people, they want to do yoga, you know, all day or throughout the day, and other people just want to just chill and sit on the beach and do nothing. So we're gonna have options to do both. So if people want to come and do yoga, we're gonna have that. We'll have yoga classes. I have a really dear friend of mine joining. Her name is Shilu. Shilu is an ambassador for Lululemon. She's a 500-hour certified teacher as well, so she's gonna come along and teach yoga with us. I'll be teaching, of course. Then we're going to have there's a local yoga school in the area. We're going to take aerial yoga for people who are interested in doing aerial yoga, which is super, super cool. You're hanging from the ceiling, so to speak. But you're not that high off the ground, so don't get scared. So it's pretty cool. We're going to be doing, as I mentioned, stand-up paddle boards and jet skiing, snorkeling. What else? With zip lining, the sloth walk, the monkey walk. There's hikes in nature if people want to do that. Where we're staying at is a 33-acre property with 50 different units, condos, homes, villas, bungalows. So people have an option depending on what they want to spend. The bungalows are the most affordable, and the villas are a little bit more high end, more fancy, so to speak. But it's really gorgeous. It's just a really beautiful place. Costa Rica is amazing. The food is incredible. The people are wonderful. Everywhere you go, that you hear them say "pura vida." Pura vida means pure life, and it really is. It's like when you're there, you really feel connected to nature. Every night we saw the most magnificent sunsets, just beautiful, beautiful. So every single night was the most. Sky is red, orange, and yellow. Is just gorgeous. So it's gonna be great. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. And again, you can go and do yoga. You can just go and just chill out and sit by the beach and just have a good time.
Awesome. Now you are running a promo.
Yes,
And I
yes,
want everyone to know about this promo because,
yes,
word travels fast and
yes.
referrals, are always a good thing. So what's this promo
Absolutely.
you got going on?
So the promotion, we call it the Get Three and Go Free, which basically means if you help us enroll 3 people, either into the retreat or even into the 200 or 300-hour training. So any one of those 3 programs, if 3 people enroll that you can help promote, then you're able to go for free to the retreat, you yourself. So if you recommend 3 people, they sign up in either the training or the retreat, then we cover your accommodations and all your outdoor activities. The only thing you have to cover is just the air and the food, which is very affordable. Even when I went from California, the airfare wasn't that bad, and the food is delicious. Honestly, if I just drank juice, the juice is so fresh made and it's right from the trees. It's so delicious. Even if you just drink juice all day, you have a really wonderful time.
Wow, yeah, I'm all about the juice cleanse.
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
think my mom is
absolutely.
too. She started that.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, that's a really great promo that you've got going on. That's for everybody and anybody who wants to participate. There
Yes.
are many different prices, and so it's hard to really kind of quote, how much it costs right now. But there is a link in my Facebook group for all of you who are interested and want to know. You can also reach out to Michael on Facebook at Awaken Warrior Yoga. And go like and follow his Instagram because he's constantly posting pictures of his students, their graduations, the events that he's doing. He's always going live and really, inquire about, what he is doing around the world, really, because you're bouncing all over the place. You're in Puerto Rico, New York, California.
Yes.
You're all over the place. When are you coming back to Florida?
I don't know. Hopefully soon. Actually, I have a student that just completed a training with me over there online, so I have to send her a certificate. She graduated, so I'm going to send her a certificate. So yeah, Florida's in the works, and Atlanta. I was just in Atlanta recently. We have a gentleman flying in from Atlanta to do the training, and then he's going to go back and teach out there in Atlanta. So yeah, we're really trying to hit all the major cities, and eventually, I want to expand to Europe and other parts of the world, and just have trainers in all over the world representing Awaken Warrior. I think what we're doing is very unique, as you see with my shirt. It's a yin and yang symbol.
Yeah.
That's from my background in the martial arts. I studied in martial arts, as I mentioned, but I wanted to be a reminder of the balance, that we have to have balance in our life. We all go through hard times and good times and happy times and dark times, but it's all one. It's all part of the same experience that we call life. That duality, but it's all in the sense of one. So we want to make sure that people understand that. So that's the whole goal, is just to really share the light, share the teachings, and have people come on board, whether it be as a yoga teacher or just simply for their own practice, just to get better at yoga. And again, to learn the philosophies and to really take this lifestyle in, because it is a lifestyle and it's really changed who I am. I've been a vegetarian for quite some time, but recently became vegan, and it really, really shifted, how I even, deal with food, my relationship to food. So I'm not as attached to certain foods as I was when I was eating as a vegetarian. So, however it is for you, and everyone can go about it however they want, but yoga has a lot to offer where people can really find, their fit with it.
Can you elaborate more on that? Because we do have some more time and I want, everyone to get more value. And if you've got anything else that you can share to serve, for sure.
Yes.
Tell me more.
I think that, one thing that comes up in doing the trainings, I found that a lot of people deal with two things. One is stress and anxiety, and two is depression. And I think that, yoga can definitely help with that. I'm not going to say it's going to cure it, though it has. We've had students go to the training who were depressed when they first started, when they were done, they were a completely different person from day one to graduation day, completely different person. They said it, that they really found that the training and the lessons and the philosophy really helped them, where they were dealing with loss of a family member. Someone had a loss of a pet, and they were really, really sad and depressed on the sofa and just heartbroken. And they really found that just getting up and going to class every day, just that was the first step. And then spending time and learning about the philosophy and learning about you know life after death and reincarnation for people who believe in that stuff. It's one of the lessons in yoga. Just really sharing all these different other thoughts, other ways for people to really look at the situation that unfortunately happens to us all, right? Death and all these things. It's part of life, unfortunately. No
Yeah,
one's figured out the magic potion to live forever. But
that's right.
it really gives us a different perspective, and I think that it changes our relationship to thought with regards to things like that. So that's one thing that I'm really proud of, is that we've had people go to the training with severe depression and have really come out on the other side really happy. And then with regards to stress and anxiety, I mean, that's something we all experience. Stress, living in the modern world, can be quite stressful for all the demands of our attention, from work to social media to our phones to our relationships, where we're constantly being pulled. But we learn to manage that through meditation. We really promote meditation heavily in the training. We teach you how to meditate with something called the mala beads, which are the beads that most people have around their neck, around their wrist. And we do a very special meditation with those beads, teaching you how to just bring your attention to one bead at a time, one bead at a time. And when you do that, then you start to allow all the other thoughts to kind of disappear. And that's the power of meditation. I think why most people have a misconception about meditation is they think about, well, meditation means sit still and don't think about anything. And that's next to impossible, right? But with the mala beads, and particularly, you're focusing on one bead at a time. It brings your attention to the bead so that now all the other thoughts disappear. Or a mantra. Some people chant mantras. We repeat, and a mantra is a repetition of a phrase or a word. And you just bring your attention to that phrase and that intention, whether it be for healing or peace or love or abundance. And you just repeat those mantras over and over and over again. So that's a big thing, and that will help people with stress and anxiety. And we found that people have said that absolutely that's been a really, really game changer for them, and with regards to their mind, because it is ultimately, it's just the mind out of control. Right? That's what
Yeah.
thoughts is and stress is. It's just our mind doing what it does. So we just have to control it and bring it back into the moment, being present.
Being present, that's like
Yeah.
the number one thing. Your logo represents not only martial arts but also the practice and what I'm passionate about with Chinese medicine. And so I
Yeah.
think that's one of
Yeah.
the things that called me to you. And there's a lot of similarities between Chinese medicine and yoga. And
Absolutely.
we use a practice called qigong, but it's all
Yeah.
very similar because it's
Yes.
using breath work, it's using martial arts, it's using poses and postures that
Yes.
are going to support us, physically as well as mentally.
Yes.
And you and I both have seen on social media that people are constantly going to the gym, obsessing about their way they look, and
Yes.
eating because
Yes.
their appearance is so important to them. But
Yes.
really, it's just this body is a container, and that's all
Yes.
it is. The
Yes.
mind is what's powerful, and
Absolutely. And for
but
the people, unfortunately, the people who are so attached to their physical body, and so obsessed with their looks and things like that, it is, we all want to look good and feel good for ourselves. But what concerns me about the people who are constantly posting and taking pictures of themselves at the gym and working out and sharing that is that at some point they're gonna get old, and what's gonna happen when they hit that age where things aren't gonna look as pretty as they used to be when they were in their 20s or 30s, and then they're going to now be facing a completely different side of reality. And that's why it's important in yoga. We teach non-attachment to anything, not attachment to any physical things, material things, not attachment to even our physical body, because as we age, it does change. But with that being said, I'm happy to say that my teacher, Dharma Mitra, just turned 80 on Tuesday. And he's still doing headstands with no hands. He's still teaching several times a day. He's still running his teacher trainings. He's 80 years old. So I think through the yoga practice and through the diet and all the things that he shares with me as far as philosophy and meditation and practicing the yamas and the niyamas, absolutely, you can, live and if you look, Google him, 80 years old, and he's in amazing shape, and he looks great for his age. And I think of my grandparents who are 80, and they're both sick and they're not doing too well. So we want to share that with everybody. It's just really take on the lifestyle. It will really, really change and make a difference in your life in every area.
You're right. One thing I also want to would like for you to share with us is that there is a very interesting aspect of your teacher training program
Yes.
that no other teacher training program does, and
Yes.
that is the self-defense.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm very captivated by that because many people who come through this program have no idea how important
Yeah.
it is to be able to defend yourself or to, be safe.
Absolutely.
So, you know, can you share a little bit more about that tidbit?
Sure, sure. We just did it on Sunday, so usually on the last day, well, not usually, on every day, the last, every training on the last day, what we do is a self defense, basically a self defense class where I teach people basic self defense techniques, and I do that because one, my background in the martial arts, and I always say that to spend so much time with my students, and 99% of them I would say are women, spend so much time with them and never teach them a basic self defense techniques would be a disservice to them. So I always make it that on the last day we do a very special workshop where we teach them basic self-defense techniques, and we actually do a very powerful ceremony where we actually break boards. So we have them write their fear on the board, and on the other side of the board they write their goal and their dream, and then we have them step up and claim their power and just destroy the board. And it's really, really powerful, and people have found that to be a really enlightening and powerful experience, empowering experience for them, because when you step up to that board, it's 1 inch thick. It's a little intimidating. You think, oh my God, I'm going to break my hand, I'm going to break my foot. All the fear, all the thoughts start to kick in. But then we have them step into their power and really get focused on what their goal is, and really what would it mean to them if they broke through this board, if they broke through this fear metaphorically on this board. And when they break it, and we all celebrate and cheer, and it's really, really a lot of fun. We just did it on Sunday, and it was just amazing. But yeah, the self-defense part is important, right? Because one of the lessons in yoga is from a book called the Bhagavad Gita, and the story is of Arjuna, and Arjuna is a warrior, and he's on the battlefield, and Krishna is guiding his chariot, driving the chariot, and Arjuna is a warrior, and he's faced with this challenge of he has to get engaged in battle. When I first heard that in my teacher training, when I was doing my 200-hour training with my teacher Andrew, I was like, why are we talking about war and violence and death and a teacher training? This makes no sense to me. But it's a metaphor of showing us how we're all in some form of a war, a battle, a challenge, a struggle, and we have to face obstacles and overcome them. So we have to tap into our inner warrior, which is why we chose the name, Awakened Warrior, to really tap into our inner warrior and really, defeat our fears and defeat our demons, so to speak. So that's part of it as well. It's really, I feel that with the martial arts side, that will really help people to tap into their inner warrior. So that's why we do that on the last day. We do the martial arts, and why we incorporated it again into the logo. So that's really powerful experience.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a
Yeah.
great experience.
Yes.
It really made me feel more confident in myself and in
Yes.
my power.
Yes.
I did a little bit of martial arts when I was a kid, and so did my family,
Awesome.
but I love it. So I just want to go down to the comments. We do have some comments
Sure.
here. We've got one comment here, and it says, any suggestions about or for using for dealing with inflammation? Either whether
Yeah.
it be yoga, whether it be diet, what can you suggest?
Yeah, sure. So two things. I'm sure you could speak on this as well. Diet is a big one. A lot of the stuff that we're eating, whether it be processed foods, sugar foods, it's important to be mindful of that. Just look at your diet. The yogic diet is trying to eat more raw foods, more natural foods, juices, smoothies. But there's conflicting things. So one, you have to kind of like find a diet that speaks to you, test it out, and then just be willing to modify it. Diet, since like as far as I can remember, there's always diet crazes, right? Every year, every 2 years, there's a new diet that everyone's doing and talking about, and then people do it, and some people get results, and other people get sick. So with diet, trendy diets, you have to be very, very cautious of that. But I will say, be mindful of the foods that you're eating. Maybe keep a journal and just track it, because you may not realize, oh, every time I eat, this burger, or every time I have this drink, or whatever, it's affecting me. That's when I'm feeling inflammation. The second thing is, turmeric is a very popular thing to put into juices or add into your food somehow. I try to have a juice every day, which is usually carrot, beet, lemons, cucumbers, turmeric, ginger. I pretty much that's mostly my daily juice, and then I have a daily smoothie, which would be avocado, almond milk, vegan protein powder, maybe some berries, and maybe a banana, and an udo's oil, which is a really great oil that has omega 3 and omega 6. So I try to have that as my daily smoothie, and that helps me. But yeah, actually, with regards to inflammation, be mindful of the diet, and I'm sure you want to share some good stuff too.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, you commented on some things that Dharma Mitri
Mhm.
incorporates in his 500-hour training.
Yes,
And it's
yes,
a very, regimented diet that helps, detox the body and clear it of,
yes.
inflammation.
Yes, yes, and detoxing, whether it be a 1 day juice fast or a water fast, but again, you have to kind of consult your doctor. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but go about it however you feel. But it's been highly recommended in many religions and many cultures. Take time to just do a fast, because then you finally allow the body to just go through what it has in itself, in the stomach and the intestines and the colon, clean it out, so to speak, and then you can now, when you eat then their next meal, it'll be more nourishing. But a lot of times people just keep stuffing stuff down there. If you think of, like, you keep stuffing, stuff into your trash, at some point it's going to overflow, or in your sink or your garbage disposal. You have to allow it to clear before you put new stuff down there. And be mindful. Be mindful what you're eating is quality foods, ideally organic. It's a lot affordable now than it was when I first started doing this. It's just a difference of a few cents in some stores. But trying to eat organic food, non-GMO foods, foods that are really, really, raw and healthy, and good, clean foods.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Michael, for sharing all that wonderful information, for bringing so
absolutely.
much value to our community,
Yeah.
and for your time. Your time is very
Always.
valuable. And
Thank you.
so I honor you for just being open to be with us. So
Absolutely.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All
Those of
right.
you who have been joining us, thank you for your questions and for being here present with us. We definitely love to see more people talk about this. So feel free to share this, and feel free to reach out to Michael Baez on Facebook, on Instagram, and let him know that I sent you over. If you're interested in that trip to Costa Rica,
Yes.
you can mention my name, that Chinese
Please.
medicine chick, Antonika Chanel, and just get on it. Get on that promo code. Get your free trip going, and just really take that time to love and honor yourself and to
Absolutely.
go within. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye
All
now.
right. Namaste.